Hello everyone, hope you're doing well. We are back in the files on the 4th version of the dev server, and they have added a few new things to it, so I thought we would have a look at them while we're wrapping up the dev server content. The dev server closes, I believe, tomorrow, so basically this is our last look at what's going to come in the next update. Since this stuff is in the files, it doesn't mean it will come in the next update, but it's at least something interesting to look at for either Event, Squadron, Premium, or just standard tech tree things. What's kind of funny in the last few updates is there's been a vehicle that's been sat in the files for Naval and never made it to the dev server, but then it comes out in the update. This happened to America last time, and it looks like it might be happening again. This is the Bagley, or part of the Bagley class, and it's a pre-Second World War destroyer for the good old Americans. It has 4 5-inch guns, 2 in the front here, in mounts that you may be used to, but then also in the back it has 2 mounts without the shield coverings, which kind of look really weird. As a secondary, it has some 50 cals, only 4 of them, so don't really be surprised if you get absolutely nuked by a lot of planes. And then also it has a really interesting torpedo setup, which I haven't seen on any other American machine. So it has 2 sets of 4 torpedoes on both sides of it, totaling 16 torpedoes, but you can only get, 8 off at one time, at least on one side. So that's going to be kind of annoying to play, especially if you play like me when it comes to like reloading the torpedoes in Naval Arcade, but overall it'll still be something that will be quite nice to use. If you're a person who likes getting into the thick of the action, you can always hammer things from both sides. So the 5-inch guns are very good. I'm sure they'll have probably the same fire rate as some of the later ones. These 5-inch guns specifically are the 38 cal ones, so very similar to stuff that we've seen previously. You also have the rangefinder right here. There doesn't seem to be any radar on this machine, which would make sense since this vehicle was a pre-World War II one. So that's why it has a very small amount of AA armament, and mainly anti-ship armament is the thing on it. This vehicle survived the war, so kind of nice to see another one that made it. It was involved in a lot of the American conflict during the Second World War, so really cool to see. The next vehicle is for France, and it's one that I feel like a lot of people have been looking forward to. It's another Mirage, and this one is specifically the Mirage 2000D RMV. Now this one was leaked a little bit ago, and basically RMV stands for Renovation MIV, or Midlife Upgrade, such as like MLU for the good old F-16. It's one which is incredibly modern. I think it's actually the most modern Mirage in the world. They haven't even finished renovating these things yet, and basically it just gives it access to crazy munitions. So it doesn't really change the engine or change the general style. You can see the countermeasures on the top here. What it does is it gives it access to an interesting gun pod, which you can see here. Looks like a sloth. It looks like the guy out of Ice Age, good old Sid. And then also it has another gun here. And then on top of that, it gives it access to a bunch of guided munitions. So GBU-48s, 50s, the Mika Mika Me's, and then also the Magics. So basically, very good IR missiles, very good air-to-air missiles, and very good ground ordnance too. So if you are a fan of the Mirage 2000, which we already have in game in a few separate forms, such as the 5F, the S3, the S4, the S5, the R1, I'm sure you'll also be a fan of the RMV. Kind of crazy how many Mirage 2000s we have, but then again, the good old French made an absolute metric ton of them, so maybe it isn't that weird. There's also another little machine, or not machine in the game, but a bomb, which is new. This is a new GBU, so an American bomb, and it is specifically the GBU-49. So this is the GBU-49 early that they've added, and then also they've added a late version. Now, whenever Gaijin do like early and late, it usually means just like a different set of properties on it. If you think about like the Sea Harrier FRS-1, right? You have an early version and you have a late version, and the difference mainly between them is stuff such as the amount of missiles that they have access to. So with the GBU-49s, these are Paveway 2s, specifically the 500-pounder one, which you can see here. And this is a Raytheon enhanced dual mode GPS and laser guided version of the laser only GBU-12. So it basically takes what used to be just a laser guided one and makes it a GPS one, or GNSS as it's known in the game. So it looks like we're going to get a version which is laser guided and a version which is GNSS or GPS guided. And that could be kind of cool, I suppose, along with the JDAMs, and also some of the Soviet technology that we have now is kind of nuts. The other one, I suppose, that's technically been added to the files now as well is the Grom. So even though the Grom isn't on anything, it's still here. It's still kind of ready and raring to go. So look out for the Grom if they decide to add it. The Grom 2 is still in the game, but the Grom 1 isn't. The big difference between the Grom 2 and the 1 is the 1 has rocket propulsion. So this is a much further distance version of what you had before. And we've already talked about why it's not really a surprise that they decided to take this out. I'm pretty sure this is something that was going to happen always until they functionally change how the game works. Things like this are just never going to be balanced. They're going to be incredibly broken. So yeah, that is a bit of a problem. We talked about the Patriot stuff more recently too, in terms of the launchers being here and all of this, but one of the things that I didn't bring up was the S-300s, which is, of course, the kind of other side of the ball, if you want to put it like that. The S-300 is another kind of long-range air defense system, which is around. You can see here, this is kind of the radar of it, which looks absolutely insane. And also you have stuff like the command post version of it, which is here, and then the actual launcher of it with the missiles. Now, these things have been in the game for a while. We actually did a bit of a look at them in the last dev server when they added them, and they've also been in stuff like aerialistic battles, simulator battles, and probably arcade battles too, as stationary targets. The interesting thing about these things, and also a lot of the other AAs that are used by the AI in air forces, is they've given them access to an ability to actually be used. So what this means is they might not be, for an incredibly long time, useless, because right now they're just stationary targets that you destroy, but they might actually come alive and start shooting things. So this might be to do with a new game mode, might be to do with World War mode, might be to do with a bunch of different things. But the main thing just to kind of focus on is these different machines are coming alive. So that might be a bit dangerous, especially as we go forward. This isn't just stuff like this. They added animations for the launches of this and also the Patriots, but a bunch of the other AI machines that are about have also been given the ability to annihilate players. So we'll see what goes on with that. Obviously, take all that with a grain of salt, because there's no way that they're just going to have it realistic that these things are going to turn up and just annihilate stuff. But at the same time, you never know. As always, I hope you have a wonderful day. I'll see you next time. I'd just like to thank GMG Smiley, CD Beans, Chieftain Mike, EMN3 Galaxy, Tulio Pontecorvo, Brendan Quinn, Carrion Crow, Gus Irenicus, Pyman, Wartinder, Teddy, Daniel Stanton, Martinez, B. Young, Ozzy Panzer, Alan Hacker, Liam Shear, Opium Prime, Lafouche, Sem, Aslan, Uncle Bean, and Derek R. for supporting the channel.